Hello, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. Okay, folks, we're back with AC/DC again. When I recorded the review for Who Made Who and Fly on the Wall, I totally forgot, because of the computer problems I've been having, that I already had written out notes for this one. So you're getting a lot of AC/DC pretty close to each other. It is purely by accident and due to bad record keeping and computer problems. Okay, so this album begins the downward slump through the 80s for AC/DC. I love this album. For the longest time, this was one of my favorite AC/DC albums, and then I got realistic. And it wasn't the fact that this was one of my favorite AC/DC albums, it just so happened that it had one of my absolute favorite songs on it, and I was not separating the two. Which is the title track of the album, For Those About to Rock. I've gotten to see this live with the classic lineup on the Ballbreaker tour. I've seen multiple concerts since the not live, I've seen videos of multiple concerts since the Ballbreaker tour, and none have matched the level and intensity that was done on the Ballbreaker tour. Wow, I am glad I saw that tour live. Holy crap. Oof. I mean, we're talking Phil Rudd before everything went nuts, but after he came back from rehab, was in good health. Cliff Williams was still with, Malcolm was alive and doing well, and obviously Brian was, hearing wasn't so much of an issue yet, and Angus was Angus, who's, classic lineup. Not the same lineup that performed it on this album. It is a different lineup to a slight degree on this album. I believe the drummer was different, and I don't remember off the top of my head who the drummer was on this album, actually. Do we have it here real fast? No, I am not seeing. Really? They didn't put it in the liner notes, huh? Oh, no, okay, so if I go by the pictures in the liner notes, maybe it was the classic lineup, because the picture in the liner notes show Rudd. So anyways, moving on. Seeing it live with the Cannons will never, this will never compete to that. I love this song. I have done this song on karaoke. It's the whole era. It's a great song, man. One of AC/DC's greatest songs, without a doubt. From there, we move on to I Put the Finger on You. People like to talk about AC/DC repeating themselves with every album, and even the band likes to make that joke. But this is the second song in a row on this particular album that was new for AC/DC at the time. Shoot to Thrill is the only other song I can kind of compare to it. And what I mean by that is, like, For Those About to Rock, they had never done a song like For Those About to Rock before. They have nothing in their catalog that even comes close to being in the realm of sounding similar to For Those About to Rock. One could argue that maybe Let There Be Rock has a few but no, you're looking more at the song length and just the content. But outside of that, musically, For Those About to Rock is its own beast. I Put the Finger on You is also very much its own beast at this point on the album. The problem is, this starts becoming part of the now format. There was only one other album so going with where I'm going here, you got the Brian Johnson era, Bon Scott era. Okay, so going from the Bon Scott era into the Brian Johnson era, you had a lot of that kind of hangover a lot on the Back in Black album. There's still a lot of that major blues kind of influence there. This album, on the other hand, that blues influence is gone, and there's a lot more of what we would later come to associate with glam. Not glam metal I don't want to say glam metal per se. It's the production. and I don't want to say it's glam metal, but it is definitely more of that glammy side because it is still Mutt Lange producing this album. So to compare that sound to, say, like the glammy sound of Def Leppard, I wonder why. Okay. And that's kind of where I am with this particular album. And I Put the Finger on You kind of really, that's where the blues element of the standard AC/DC track kind of disappears and it becomes more a standard element to have that kind of glam rocker kind of song. Man, that was convoluted and super long. Sorry about that. Okay, let's get it up. This is just a basic rocker, dirty lyrics. The title says it all, okay? I enjoy the song while I was playing, man. Do I sing along with it? Absolutely. Is there anything special or unique about this song? Nah, man. It's just, let's get it up. Let's get it up. I mean, just come on, simple chorus, man. Just have fun singing it. Inject the Venom. Okay, so this one uses that start-stop blues method that AC/DC doesn't generally use too much. Like there's when you play in a band, if you've never played in a band, I'm saying this for the non-musicians, okay? So for the non-musicians, when you play in a band and you're playing blues, there's multitudes of blues, okay? But when you're doing basic rocker blues, okay, like so if you're rocking out just kind of jamming around with blues, there's two variations. You got kind of you move it along, chugging along to just as not that riff is even really basic, but I play that riff, but that just kind of move it along as bass, and then you got the now, relatively sound the same as what you're thinking. You're just not going. You're not doing the extra notes there. That's the difference between the start, stop, and the. So my baby told me that I was lost one day. I was totally lost. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So you got that verse. I'm going down to ding down to I'm totally losing it, but you get where I'm going here, okay? So one is a continuous tempo, one's got the pauses and breaks. Because sometimes those breaks, those pauses and breaks, they can last longer than just say a 4 count or an 8 count, you know? Sometimes you gotta vibe it. And that's kind of how Inject the Venom kind of works. That a format that AC/DC doesn't use, a little more start and stop. Because it's Mutt Lange, it's polished, so it is definitely timed out. But that's kind of where it is. Me personally, I think Inject the Venom needs to be a little bit slower and a little bit dirtier. But that's just me. Then you got Snowballed. Musically, this one's a bit boring based on the rest of this album. I personally enjoy listening. Snowballed, oh, wow, keeps on tumbling down. Wow. It's one of those songs I've always just kind of dug on when it's playing. And I think it really helps that it's kind of positioned well in between Inject the Venom and Evil Walks, because you get a different flow. Like that's one thing about this album that's great is the flow. You got ebbs and give and take, and like it'll zig when it zags. Like, I mean, just opening up the album with, one of their longest songs, and it's, hitting this epic kind of almost proggy kind of ode to rock and roll, this great salute. And then from there, you just kind of get in, it just kind of keeps moving all over the place, different ways. It's wonderful, man. That ebb and flow is just great. And that, like I was saying, Snowballed, really, I think one of the things that helps make it is the fact that it is sitting in between Inject the Venom and then Evil Walks. And Evil Walks, this is one of those songs I really, really enjoy, but to be completely honest, at this point, it's pretty freaking repetitive. And it's that glam sound. It's that glamish kind of overproduced thing that really kind of, I think, hurts this album. I think if it hadn't been so glammy and it had been a little more raw like the Back in Black album was, I think it would have been different. You know, like this one kind of feels like, I don't want to use the term polishing a turd, because none of these songs are turds. They really are good songs. They're just songs that I don't think were produced right. I think they should have been produced differently. Each song should have had its own vibe and feel instead of giving the album a cohesive vibe and feel musically or production wise. That would be the best way to put it. I love COD. COD is just kind of one of those rockers. It's a full on rock and roll song. But this is one of the ones where I think they pulled back the production a little bit. They let it be a little rawer. They let it have a little more of that kind of ganglandish sound that AC/DC was famous for in the Bon Scott era. And I think that's what really helps this song out. Now, that being said, they didn't pull the production back that much. It's still really overly produced. It could have been a little more ganglandy, I think. But overall, solid tune, I think. Breaking the Rules. This song is the perfect change that this album needs at this point. Slows it down just a little bit, gets a great groove going on it. Is the groove anything fancy, anything special? Nah, but it's a really tight, nice groove. This is one of the ones where the production actually, I think, really helps it out. I think the production, this is one of the ones where, this one, For Those About to Rock, and the next song, actually, I think are the three that benefit the most from the production on this album, whereas most of the other songs don't benefit from the production on the album. I think in a lot of cases it kind of hinders the albums a little, just a little. And the next song is Night of the Long Knives. I've always loved this song on this album. And I'm pretty sure that Motley Crue loved this song as well. It took me forever to figure it out. But I'm pretty sure the Dr. Feelgood riff was an homage to Night of the Long Knives. Because that do-do-do-do-do-do, it's in this one. It's like the main riff for this one, almost. They just changed the ending on it, so it was a little different. And then you've got the album finishing out with Spellbound. Spellbound really feels like they were trying to recapture the magic of Nightprowler, but it's not the best album closer, only because it's what they've done before. Like, Spellbound really feels like it's just supposed to be an updated version of Nightprowler. And you're not going to beat the original Nightprowler, for starters. The original Nightprowler was something magical that ended an album just in a way that was absolutely magical and beautiful. Spellbound was not going to do that. Realistically, the only song that could have ended this album brilliantly that is on this album is the title track. For Those About to Rock is the only song on this album that could have ended this album. But then you wouldn't have had a killer opener either, because there was no real killer opener on this album. If I wanted to leave this album exactly as it is, and I were to end this album with a different song, I would actually choose Breaking the Rules, most likely, to close the album, only because I like it. It kind of gives it a little bit... When AC/DC closes one of their albums with a slow song, it works really well for me. You got Ride On. You've got Nightprowler. They kind of went with that with Spellbound, but I think Breaking the Rules would have been a better closer on it for me. That's just my thoughts. My views, my opinions. Anyways, folks, let me know what you think. That's what the comment section is for. Drop a line. Let me know. Am I being too hard? Am I being too easy? I don't know. Do I think it's a great album? I personally think it's a great album. I love the album, but I am also honest and I am fan enough to admit that this was definitely the beginning of that downward slope that basically didn't really pick back up until you hit the Razor's Edge album. Yeah. Anyways, let me know what you think. Like I was saying, comment section. Like button, subscribe button, bell for notifications, please and thank you. There is links below that will take you to TWA. That is Trampoline Wrestling Association. Please check that out. That's some cool fun. There is also a link to take you to Patreon if you want to throw a few my way. That'd be cool. I'm all up for that. Otherwise, peace, love, take care.